Egyptian symbolism proliferates. And the traditional explanation, when you see the red hand of Ulster, or you see the David's harp, in Ireland, and various other Nordic symbols, when you see bizarre symbols like this in the West, the traditional answer is, no, well, that's explainable. It's the holy, holy people. It's old Jeremiah there and his gang, the same Israelites. But wait a minute. Is there a story where they got those symbols? Was it really an East to West movement? Or was it something else? And then, very key to my work is the origin of these world's premier secret societies. In fact, I try to address that in so many different talks, Not so much about the secret societies themselves, but who's at the top of these hierarchies, because that's what they are. They're hierarchies in exactly the same way that a school or fraternity or college has a hierarchy, and at the top is sitting some punks that we call a headmaster. It goes the same way for the churches and for these orders. The Templars and their connection to Ireland, another fascinating tremendous connection. Templars is associated with Scotland, of course, with France we know. But we go further there and look at the Chaldean church. The church of the Chaldees that has sort of fallen by the wayside, not too many people addressing this. The Cistercian order, has come to light through the work of various authors. And the origin of these royal families. When you're talking Tudor and you're talking Plantagenet, and when you're talking even Windsor, or Saxe-Coburg, or Hanover, or Habsburg, what's the underlying connection here? Sure, they have dynastic rivals. Sure, they like nothing better than to get up in the morning, ride out on a horse and club each other over the head. Our history books are full of this dynastic rivalry. But don't let for a moment think that they're not intimately connected also. Right? Psychopaths like pillow fights, and they don't mind how many people die in the process, especially if it's you. The champagne is cold, sit on the hill, watch them massacre themselves, and there's one for the history books. Right? But who? So we understand that there's been dynastic rivalries and tremendous wars and fighting. But we also need to continue to focus on the fact that there's intimate connections like this. My friend, and of course Ralph will know also, our good friend in Ireland, Andy Power, who studied the so-called Battle of the Boyne. Only problem is you can scratch the word battle because he couldn't find evidence of any battle. But you found plenty of evidence of astrotheology. Found plenty of evidence to find out that when the king Billy's horse moves into the river, something's happening up there with the heavenly rivers. Oh yeah, couldn't find a belt buckle or a button. Couldn't find evidence of any corpses or bones or anything like that. But you could find plenty of evidence of something else. Symbolism. That the handing over of the dynastic, symbols and the dynastic power from one gang of criminals to another, and that this entire rite is performed in Irish soil, a heartbeat away from some of the most ancient monuments of the ancestors, namely Newgrange and Tara. What's that all about? And is it going on today? It's not just something of the 1690. This is happening in front of your eyes. But of course, where are we really? What happens when you call something the alternative, research community or conspiracy or whatever? You're talking about addressing the fallacies we've been told. Isn't that what it basically is founded on? Is somebody coming along and saying, I don't think this is right. I don't agree. There's contradictions here. Well, you went to school with 36 classmates. Only you have asked that question. The rest of them couldn't care less. They're getting on with what they think is called life, which is really only lifestyle. So the few have gone, no, it doesn't make sense. And then science, finding new discoveries, finding land bridges, and etc. And so you start to put it together that we've been sold a pack of lies. But are, like Nietzsche said, your truths merely your irrefutable errors? Is that as far as humanity has got? Well, yes, unfortunately it is where humanity has got, because truth doesn't need any monitoring. Truth does not require any spring cleaning. It doesn't require you to drive up and get a car wash. It doesn't need to have a tune-up. Only lies need that. Truth is absolutely everlasting and completely sustainable. It doesn't need to be revamped, remodeled, rethought out. That's only happening, down through the centuries with a lie mechanism that constantly needs revamping and constantly needs updating and constantly needs reinstalling into your mind. My work is very much dedicated to a man I hope you all know about, Conor McDowry, and addresses like he did the falsehoods that we've accepted as facts. It addresses who the creators of these falsehoods were and are, and the reasons why human beings are not told the truth about their origins and about their religions. What are we doing here? Picking up the slack on our own time. But wait a minute, didn't we go through 18 years of school? Didn't we sit under bloody fluorescent lights like regimented morons for 16, 18 years? Do this, do that. teach you how to jump through bloody hoops, but they suddenly forgot to tell you about the most important things in your life. That's a crime. That's absolutely horrific. That we, in our own time later on, you know, as we're already trying to raise families and work and have a life, no, now we're back picking up the slack of the stuff we know we were not taught. This is abominable, and we need to make sure that the future generation maybe can be spared some of that nonsense, because they're going to go through it too. What was all that education? Or as my mentor Jordan Maxwell said, is it nothing more than gradual indoctrination, graduation? So Mtsar said something magnificent about this. He addressed this. He said, the generally accepted history of ancient times, such as is found on the shelves of our libraries and taught in our schools, is mostly fiction. Very entertaining though, I'll give him that. Made up of fables and myths, cleverly composed into history so nicely as to lull all suspicion in the mind of the reader or student as to the fraudulent character of it. Well, it's a wonderful cartoon, you know, isn't it? As long as it's entertaining, you're not going to ask too many questions. But some wonderfully clever writers have been led astray by these deceptions of history. And then we have what we refer to as the historical amnesia, which is, as I said, in most of the other classmates that you went to school with, and in the world in general. As the great ancient priests said to Solon, the father of Plato, in mind you are all young. There is no old opinion handed down among you by ancient tradition, nor any science which is hoary with age. At Plato's time, they're already being critiqued about having historical amnesia. That's right. And what are some of these fallacies? We list a few in the book. I really feel it's important to go over them so that we're really clued in to the fact that when we're looking at the truth and we're doing this work, which I consider very holy work in a way, that we are addressing fallacies that are now on their way out, ladies and gentlemen. These are being addressed. Fallacy number one. There was no advanced pre-Diluvian civilizations. Pyramid building, basket weaving, mathematical systems. I thought this all popped out of the blue. That was lucky. That was chance. Like hell it was. Primitive man was rude and malevolent. Haven't you heard that one? Bone chucking, freezing, skin wearing. Right? That's your ancestors they're telling you about, and there's a reason why they address your ancestors in such a way. 3. The megalithic ruins throughout the world were constructed by unrelated races. And that's another chance as well. So you can go to Brittany, you can go to Spain, you can go out to Nigeria. Ever been to Nigeria and seen the ruins there that look exactly like the Celtic, you know? What about the famous ones in Zimbabwe? What about all those beautiful pyramids over there in South America? All unrelated. That was accident. You've even got scientific theories telling you it all happened independently. And it holds true for a certain amount of it, but it certainly doesn't hold true for etymology. It does not hold true for many of the precise customs that are absolutely duplicated. Hopefully we can get to one regarding the serpent symbolism later on. Absolutely the same. The symbolism shows you that it is nonsense what they're telling you there. They tell us that the ambassadors of civilizations was the Greeks, Romans, and the Jews. Don't even get me started on that one. Let's quickly move on, right? The elements of civilization, as we said already, were brought by a chosen people. And always, the key thing, from the east to the west. As time goes by, hopefully that one will be re-explored, you see. And then we hear that Jews, given that we even know what that term relates to, which is a tremendous study, Jews were uniquely distinguished. They possessed a naturally religious and moral disposition. And they were truly God-inspired chosen people. Not you, they. The Jews were the first monotheists. That's another fallacy. The Jews were poor slaves in Egypt and hard-pressed to preserve their unique identity and beliefs. A man that's sitting 5 yards away from me has proven, no, they were pharaohs, they were kings, they were nobles in the land of Egypt. Where did that story come from then? The Bible provides an accurate account of historical occurrences. It's never mythology. And why didn't they just tell us it was? In fact, the writers of the Bible knew it was mythology. They were never under any doubt. Because as we know, if they really wanted it to be a biography, they probably would have done a better job. No, they knew, but we're not supposed to.